3, 2, 1, go.
Punch you in the face next time you say that to me. I will punch you. Do it. Do it. I dare you. Dare you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Untitled podcast.
Good for you. We did it. We got through the open.
Did we?
We are. We're opening.
Okay.
It's opened. Doors open. So, what's up?
We've got a lot of cool stuff going on.
Do we?
We do.
Okay.
We have a 2-shot that we are starting.
Speaking
Wait, what
of
episode
which,
is it?
What are you talking about?
It's episode 5.
Oh yeah, there's.
I didn't think that was going to be open, so I didn't do my thing.
Okay, good enough.
So we have a 2-shot coming up.
What days are those? Because I only know one day, and I'm participating in both, so I should suspect that I would know the second day, or hope that you would tell me what the second day is.
Thursday, May 7th.
Feels right. The number feels right.
And then Thursday, May 14th.
Got it. So we're doing Thursday.
Yes, Thursday. Mm-hmm. It is a new campaign from a company called Inkplot. Mm-hmm. And it's all about mysticism.
That's right.
And there's some unique character classes in there. Mm-hmm. There are some new, what do you call new backgrounds,
mm-hmm.
new
so
character building options, and new subclasses, all of that mm-hmm. stuff. It's a homebrew, we would call it, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose so, because essentially it's D&D 5e overlay, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's also a campaign setting.
Right. So it's a campaign. It's much like Waterdeep Dragon Heist has a module, and then it also has here's all about Waterdeep. Mm-hmm. So this is a custom world and module to go along with it. Mm-hmm. And there's some cool and unique things in there, and I imagine that these guys are going to try and do a level that is close to Nord Games. So
as far as quality and print,
and quality and that type of stuff.
Okay.
It's like I don't know if I would call Nord Games stuff homebrew, because it's third party. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Third party. Mm-hmm. So this is a third party campaign plus setting. Mm-hmm. They call it a campaign guide, and I think that I want to say that that's confusing.
Okay.
Anyway,
you can say that.
I just did.
Okay.
We will next week on this very show. We'll have an interview with Renard.
Don't even.
Yep.
Renault.
Yep. Renault. Is it?
Yeah, because there's no L. How are you going to say? Were you going to say it like the
Renault
car?
Baton. Baton.
Oh, that hurts my ears.
He's going to hate us. Renault Baton.
Stop. Just don't. Just don't. I'm sure there'll be links somewhere to something eventually.
Yes.
So that you don't have to listen to Thomas kill other languages throughout the world. Okay.
So, anyway, so that Kickstarter is not live right now. It is coming sometime mid-May. We don't exactly know the specific date. This is the thing that we've pushed back a couple of times because we want to coincide our playthrough
with their Kickstarter.
With the Kickstarter. So that is coming up. That's the news. Yeah.
Great. Cool news, bro.
Half the party might die on Tuesday. That is our Chaos Agent show. But, tune in and find out.
I love it.
By the time this is out, they will or won't have died. It's Schrodinger's Foxy Irregulars.
It's Schrodinger's boat. Just like this virus. You may or may not have it until you're tested. Nobody knows. Anyway, it's not how the cat works.
If I were to bioengineer a virus, just saying, most of the infected people not having symptoms would be one of my go-to, like, if we can get this, that's half the battle.
I understood none of that. I also stopped listening when you said I was going to bioengineer a virus. My brain just went, boop, I'm going to take a 5-minute break because God knows where this is going, and I really can't care.
All right.
Next segment.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying if it were a thing.
Shh, it's okay. Shh, it's okay. You're not bioengineering anything. You can barely
correct. I'm not bioengineering dinner. It's not
I was about to say, you're barely engineering a table from IKEA. So let's just take a step back.
If only I had that Allen wrench, then I could put the whole thing together. You don't.
You mean the one that I found on the table that I said, hey, here's an Allen wrench. What do you want to do with it? And then it where is it? Where is it? Exactly. So now you can't put anything from IKEA together.
And they don't give you one with every single thing either. So, all right, what are we doing today? This is off the rails.
We're talking about a lot of Kickstarter.
We're gonna do the Wick.
Okay.
We're gonna do what was your? So we're gonna do the Wick. Then we're gonna do a special section called the Wick. I don't know, what does that stand for?
You know what WTF stands for. I'm just not gonna pronounce it. Wick woofed.
That's right. So we're gonna
Wick and the Wick woofed.
Yes, the Wick woofed. Yeah, I like it. So we're gonna start off with
The legit Wick.
Yes, the legit Wick. One of the big things that's coming out. We love co-op games here. That's what we like to do. Resident Evil 3, the board game.
Can I tell you why I like co-op games?
Yes, you can.
Because
We're all losers?
Yeah, kind of. If I lose, y'all lose. Well, and that's usually the thing. I'm usually not great at them until I play at least once. And then by then I'm like, thanks, guys. So with co-op, at least I can ride somebody's coattails to the end, to a victory. That's my philosophy with the co-op. Anyway, I'm sorry. What were you saying about Resident Evil 3?
It's zombies and things, from what I understand. So I think...
Have you ever played the game?
Full disclosure, no.
Okay. Seen a movie?
No.
Wow.
You know what I have seen? I've seen Ravi play Resident Evil 2.
We have.
The remake. I've seen that happen.
Yeah, with the flashlight in the office. I remember that.
Yeah, and Leon and the other person. Anyway, so Resident Evil 3 is... you're back in Raccoon City. Wherever that is, because I don't know anything.
Call it that?
I don't know.
That's the dumbest name ever.
I honestly, I would love to live in a place called Raccoon City.
You do. It's called Fremont, California. It's another story for another time about Thomas and the dog and the band of raccoons. And anyway, never mind. Where were we with this?
They all play bass. That's the problem with the band of raccoons.
Nobody wants to be the front man in a band of raccoons.
Exactly. They all play bass.
Anyway, so Resident Evil 3. There was a 2. I don't know if there was a 1. Was there a 1?
There was a Resident Evil.
Are you talking about video game?
Video game.
Okay.
I doubt there was a Resident Evil 2 board game.
What?
Because Resident Evil 2, the board game, is basically the exact same story as Resident Evil 2, the video game.
Yes.
The same thing with 3. I don't think there was a Resident Evil board game.
Okay. Original.
Correct.
OG.
Yeah.
We'll have to internet that because we never bothered to do that before
There
we
is
did
an
this.
Evil Dead board game.
Yeah, for a second I was like, wait, what are we talking about again? Yeah, so anyway, Resident Evil board game is based on the video game, as Thomas has so eloquently pointed out, just from reading it from the internet and having no knowledge other than watching other people play video games.
You need a flashlight, you need to find weapons, or you have weapons, but you're going to run out of ammo because there's zombies and then there's monsters.
And you're talking about the board game or the video game?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so anyway, thoughts?
Do I have thoughts? So when I don't. I don't have thoughts.
No thoughts.
When this first came up, when you sent this to me, I was like, oh, this looks really cool. I love co-op games. Resident Evil sounds interesting.
And not only that, it's gonna sell like hotcakes just because of the IP. So it's gonna go. Like it's gonna sell. It's gonna sell. It's gonna be successful. Yep.
Which and it already is at $550,000. But I was immediately, wait a minute. Is this something we should play on the channel?
Yeah,
because it's a co-op game. It's kind of dungeon exploring.
And if you go to Kickstarter and read the description, I was like, oh my goodness, this could be a Betrayal Legacy. I was like so excited again, excited.
And then what happened?
And then we watched the playthrough by the creators, and I was like, not so much Betrayal Legacy.
It doesn't. It's kind of interesting, maybe a little bit.
Okay, what does that mean?
I don't know. I after watching the playthrough and everything, I was disappointed, and I was like, I don't want to do this.
Why were you disappointed?
It just didn't seem like it was the story, I guess, that I was looking for to unfold in a legacy style. It seemed. I don't know. It just didn't seem fun.
Okay. I mean, there are 14 scenarios to play through. I think you unlock more scenarios. I think as the Kickstarter goes down farther. Oh, that's it. You unlock other characters that you can play.
Yes.
And so a lot of the scenarios are like you and scroll down because I don't remember anybody's name in this thing anymore. You and those people those
yeah.
people.
I mean, you got miniatures, so that's obviously, it's one of those games.
But like some of the point is that you're starting in like a lab and somebody else is starting in an office, and you both need to like find a thing and then get out together.
Right.
So it is cooperative in the fact that, you're going through these rooms, and it is a little bit like Betrayal Legacy or Betrayal. Just because you're going to these rooms and finding items in the rooms,
right.
i.e. just like a video game, but also like some other board games. And so as things unlock, you unlock additional characters and some fun dice packs and monsters and minis and whatnot.
Yep.
So again, I don't know. I mean, Betrayal Legacy has ruined games for me a little bit, and the fact that it's like now it's the gold standard for me, so therefore I'm going to constantly compare it to it. And so it's a little less bright and shiny and exciting. Who's going to be a traitor? That's not that's not a component in here. It's more like you're just trying to beat the game. So,
And looking at this, I also thought that maybe this was also one of those room building things where it's going to be different every time because I uncovered this and it's a random thing. And this looks more like these are set out. There are specific scenarios and you go through them. It didn't seem like it would be as fun. One thing that I do like about it is that it has just one pledge level.
Don't accidentally click it.
It's like buy it or don't buy it, right?
Yeah.
But then I just saw here, it's like, there's going to be add-ons, and then you can...
I think that's what I really like about a lot of Kickstarters personally, is that the add-ons after the fact. It's like, okay, so I've gone through some of this, and I know I want to buy it, so I'll click the button and buy.
Right.
Then when it comes time to actually, when they send you that first email that says, hey, so your dollar amount has gone through, and then they send you like the please fill out the survey stuff, and then they give you the add-on email to go through and actually spend some time and say, okay, so if I'm realistically going to play this, what other things do I want now? Where right now you can look at the price tag of some of these things and be like, holy crap, I am not going to put out $200 for all this other stuff.
Right.
But then when you go back, you're like, well, but I might want... So you end up at 150 anyways, you know?
So the interesting thing about this game is that you can actually try it right now. It has a online demo in Tabletopia.
Oops.
Where you can log in. You have to make a Tabletopia account that I found out today or yesterday. And then all the pieces are there.
And the creators have play tested on Tabletopia as well. So that's where I was watching just to learn how to figure out how to play and to look at some of the cards and look at some of the, at some of the mechanics of it. And like, is it a lot of fiddly bits? No, it's just a couple decks that you get to pull from, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not the full game. I'm sure it will be eventually, but right now it's not the full game, it's the demo. What I found interesting is that I loaded it up and looked at it, and I could click things, but I had no idea what to do because it's not a video game version of a board game. It's a board game. So if it were set up on this table and I was like picking up a piece and looking at it,
got it,
without the rule book or any sort of idea what you're doing, it's impossible to do. So they actually have a learn how to play the demo link.
Yep, and
right
if you
here.
scroll up to, I think is there a rule book in there?
There is a rule book as well. Reviews for people that are not us.
Because obviously we're giving it a meh.
Well, if they wanted a good review, they would have had to have sent it to us, and we would have had to have played it, and it would have had to have been good.
Copy that.
Yes, none of those things happened. They're going to ship to Australia as well. So that's good.
Awesome. All right, so are we done with Resident Evil?
We are. Let's
3?
move on to...
I bet you there's going to be a 4.
Maybe.
Okay.
Let's move on to Brave New Worlds.
I won't sing it, I promise.
This is... I'm going to just click this video right here. This is Printable Scenery. So
your favorite.
I mean, other than the fact that they're in New Zealand. No, I'm kidding. So Printable Scenery makes open lock 3D printable tiles. In fact, these are Gothic future tiles that they say. So there's a lot of Gothic elements in them, but they're supposed to be fans and whatnot. This is what we started printing for Carbon.
Yep. I saw none of that in that, but whatever.
And,
good enough.
I don't know. These were okay. So one of the things that happened is when we started to play Carbon. Oh, I should stop it. when we started
Stop
to
the
play
video. Okay.
Carbon, is that there weren't a lot of terrain options for us.
For future
Yeah.
dystopian San
for
Francisco.
printable. So Warren actually picked up, these are cardboard. So this came in a cardboard, and he spent a lot of time gluing them together.
Oh, those are glued together? Okay.
Yeah. Which you know what? The time gluing them together was way less than the time painting these. So anyway, so those are kind of cool. But when I saw this one, and I saw specifically this type of stuff right here, I was like, ooh, that's like, you know, if we end up not in, this is the stuff that's in south of San Francisco, in Carbon, right?
Yep.
You know, in the wasteland, there is junkyards, and there are, you know, forts built out of school buses and weird stuff like that. And
Also feels like our neighborhood, but okay.
and then there's the space one as well. So it's
Which actually looks very much like what Warren put together here.
Yeah.
Because I think this was actually a space lock.
so yeah.
Anyway.
This stuff is printable scenery as well. So cool stuff. You know, it looks like they've got different levels, like ups and downs to use, and then also this is, I forget what they call this stuff.
If you scroll down, I'm sure
New
it'll tell you.
Eden is actually what they call that. I don't know if there's any scenarios on our D&D stuff that we're gonna need anything like that right now.
I don't think so. But I know how much of a fan you are about printable scenery. Again, I don't know. To me, I like printable scenery in the fact that it helps me cheat. I enjoy it for that element.
It's like when somebody prints out a whole like Dwarven Forge room or whatever, and then they...
Yeah, it's like, how do you not accidentally know not to go right and to go left? Like, if you were playing Theater of the Mind, so if you were going through a dungeon, you would only go, and the DM says, you come to a T intersection, you could go right or left. That's way different than seeing scenery out on the table and knowing what's right and what's left. Like, how do you negotiate through that and say, oh, I'm going to pretend like I don't know that this is a dead end that goes nowhere and nothing's on it? Or we might end up getting, killed. You know, how do you not play through that without putting some of that out there?
I mean, my personal thing is it's Theater of the Mind until initiative starts. Really, that's where I think, even in Roll20, that's where I think it should be. You know, you don't need to see anything until we get to combat. You know, we don't need to move icons around. It's not a video game, it's role-playing. That's just my personal take.
Okay.
Anyway, look at that school bus made of junk. Or a school bus made into a fort. And there's also an airplane right there.
Very cool. Yeah. So, I mean, I know other people completely enjoy building and painting and doing all of these things. Those other people are not me.
Yes.
But anyway, so yeah, I thought that was interesting. Again, it looks very much like what Warren had put together for Carbon 2185. So I think that it definitely is filling a niche that may not be out there, because I know a lot of like miniature stuff is Warhammer type things, and you know what I mean, and just dungeony type stuff where you're really you're neglecting space, my friends, and space is a big place.
Yeah.
You heard it from me.
Space is a big place. Amy said it here first.
Okay, what is next?
We're gonna hit your favorite movie trope.
The Final Girl.
Actually,
my favorite type of movies used to be horror films. In fact, I studied horror films in college. It's not my finest thing. It's not the finest things that have ever come out of my mouth, but yeah.
So these are. So for those of you who don't know, what is The Final Girl?
Okay, so I'm not going to get completely into the academia.
Lore?
No, there's actual academia.
Okay.
So you've seen it on the bookshelf. There are books written about, from academic sources.
One of them is called The Final Girl.
Exactly, and it was written by a professor at UC Berkeley. Anyway, I digress about the fact of what The Final Girl represents in... Okay, let me just unacademic this.
At the end of every horror movie, there's one female that's still standing.
Exactly. And some of the understanding is that one female represents the prepubescent male of the killer.
Oh, I thought. Okay.
Put that in your brain and sit on that for a while. Yeah, it's a little bit bizarre. So, like, the movie tropes in horror movies are if you have sex, you die. If, you know what I mean, you're an athlete, you die. Like, if you're a man, you're going to die. So there's always one final girl that's left that takes on the killer at the end. And essentially, it's one of those struggles between who the killer is and who the, you know what I mean, and who the killer was kind of thing. So that, anyway, never mind.
So, they've made a board game out of pig mask killers, and it's called The Final Girl.
Okay, that's a great description. So what Thomas is not telling anyone is that it is for solo gameplay. So you actually play this by yourself.
Right.
Which I also find bizarre and interesting because it makes me wonder how replayable is this?
Right.
You know, if I'm playing a board game by myself, that's fantastic. But once I've gone through a scenario, now what do I do? How different are the scenarios if you choose to play the scenario again? Or is it, I've played all the scenarios, your turn, here you go, good luck, here's my hand-me-down.
Could be.
But what I found interesting is that it did fund immediately. So I think I saw this 2 weeks ago and we just didn't get an opportunity to talk about it. But like it funded like same day funding.
Right.
And it's at almost $250,000 for it. So again, every module you face off with another horror movie trope. So there's usually like in horror movies, there's like the ghost in the house.
Actually, kind of right here you can see so who your killer is and the location of where you're going to be. So there's a core box, and then each story is called a movie because it's based on movies.
Yeah.
And the movie has a location and a monster. And a final girl. So what you can do is you can play, if you have all of them, you can mix and match everything, right? So you can have, have Hans in the Creech Manor, or you can have the Poltergeist in Creech Manor.
Or the poltergeist just out in the woods. Why not?
Right.
Or at camp.
Yeah, Camp Sunny, whatever they call it.
Death camp is basically.
What do they call it?
I forgot.
Yeah,
what is it called?
Happy Trails. Yep, Happy Trails Camp.
With Hans the pig-faced
Hans
butcher.
the Butcher. Camp Happy Trails.
Campy Trails.
Yep.
Anyway.
So it was kind of funny. So watching through the video, and they were showing meeples. I was like, oh my god, these need miniatures. And then eventually I got to the thing, oh, and miniatures are an add-on, and the miniatures are actually pretty cool.
I know. I saw the miniatures and I was like, I think I'd paint these.
Yeah. After you just said you're never gonna paint everything. You're going to paint these?
That's what I'm saying, is that the miniatures are cool enough that I would actually paint them, especially, like, scroll down a little bit, the Geppetto guy. I'm sorry, up.
This guy?
No, the other way. That's
the miniature.
Yes, that's the miniature. I would paint him for sure if I could paint. If I could paint or see anything small. So those are two things.
Ah, yes.
Anyway.
So this actually looks pretty cool. This is based on a game. The game mechanics called by the same publisher, Van Ryder Games, Hostage Negotiator. So I watched a little bit about that, and it seems like an interesting mechanic, but I didn't fully get into.
What is the mechanic?
Yeah, I didn't get fully into. I got halfway through the setup, and I'm like, I gotta turn this off. Sorry, Rodney, you're just not interesting.
Wow!
Shots
out. Fired.
Yeah. Rodney, yeah.
You don't even know who you hate. That's the problem right there. You don't even know who you hate.
Here's the thing. I will watch every Sit Down Shut Up review just because it's a Sit Down Shut Up guy.
Fair enough.
Anyway.
I agree. Those poor bastards who are watching us apparently watch us just to make fun of us. So
hey, whatever.
Whatever makes your day.
So, look at all these miniatures. Here's the gameplay. Take your actions. Purchase new cards. Killer attacks. Killer be killed. Done and done.
Run away. That should always be an option.
All right. So those were two good Kickstarters.
Yep. Fully funded. Did really well right at the top.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it took, Resident Evil to get funded, but I'm sure it was pretty quick upon launch.
A couple hours probably.
Especially since this wasn't their first Kickstarter. This wasn't their first Resident Evil game. Anyway.
So, I mean, look at the artwork. It's fantastic.
It is. It's amazing.
I mean, this whole thing is built out like this is done.
Yep.
And now they're launching.
Yep. Well, and not only that, too, it had unique touches, like there were directors for every film, quote unquote,
Nice.
when I'm sure it's just, the art director or, the designer's called the director. So again, it was kind of well thought out.
So what we're going to do is a quick little, maybe quick, maybe not, segment called The Wick WTF.
So close to saying it.
So close. And we're going to start off with...
Who?
Let's start off with Subdue.
Okay. And the reason why I looked at some of these was every week I kind of go, okay, what's new in Kickstarter? Like, let's go to the front page. Let's see what Kickstarter's, saying, Amy, you should look at this. What is Kickstarter, pushing forward? What are they not pushing forward? And then just kind of float through and stumble upon stuff that I find interesting.
Right.
And so there were some things that I found interesting, but for reasons that they are not interesting. Interesting?
Subdue RPG. It's a homebrew for Dungeons and Dragons, complete with unique monsters and lore. And oof.
So you just literally scrolled right past the fact that it's made $1.
It has made $1.
There are still
From one
16
backer.
days to go.
Don't back this.
I'm just saying, back it if you want to.
So, yeah, I don't even. So this is all a big wall of text, right?
Yeah, that's where I had some big struggles. I really tried to stick with it.
Look at how amazing this looks. I mean, this is just
Also, I bet some of this stuff on Final Girl is actually finished, and so some of this artwork and design is actually what you're going to get printed. So if you go to a con or something and you play this will actually be in the box. So I'm sure this design is already completed.
Ships May 21, so that's sounds to me like.
Are you sure it's 20? But it says
2021.
2021. I was like, because it's May right now.
But yeah, so Kickstarter, you need artwork, right? You need at least one or two pieces of like this is what the finished art is going to look like, so that people are like, wow, that looks amazing. Even if the rest isn't finished, I know that this is what I'm backing. This is what you're backing. This is very weird. So this actually gets into some very serious problem areas for me.
Okay.
Once you start looking into what is Subdue. So there's actually a link right here, subduerpg.com, and it takes you to their webpage, which tells you all about what the Subdue mechanics are. And the Subdue mechanics are, once you defeat a villain, you have certain essence or life force that you then control them. And it gets very, very like I don't want to like own and control people. In D&D especially, I just want to murder them and move on, right?
Good, because that's so much better.
So I am a murderer, not a slave owner. I mean, I think that, we can really, we draw a moral line somewhere.
Scroll up to the top. I can't even begin.
No, but I mean, it's, reading into it, I'm like, yeah, this is awful. This is really awful.
Well, and that goes back to our conversation about, do you want to be a villain or do you want to be a hero?
Right.
I mean, the reason why D&D is so popular is because everybody's an epic hero. Everybody's a superhero. It's not like you are an average person struggling to be a superhero. You're not a supervillain.
Right.
It's really, it kind of defeats the purpose of what RPGs are supposed to be about.
Right.
And then also, did you understand if it was actually a 5e mechanic? Because I got lost in here just saying that, like, for Dungeons & Dragons, is it an overlay to any of the D&Ds?
So I think, all of this stuff, I believe, that is available for purchase right on the website right now.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think this Kickstarter might have just been like, I'm going to put this out so that people click on this link.
Got it. So
I'm not going to click on the link. But it also just seems, even going there, I'm like, yeah, that's awful. I don't want to make, and it's not, it wasn't like hirelings or henchmen from back in, the day where you could pay somebody and they would follow you around and help you out. It was, no, I'm going to control you, and they have a mechanic for how well you control somebody. and make them do things that they don't want to do. And that's just, I was like, yeah, that's just,
And you're talking
I'm
about
out.
other...
That's what Subdue is.
Got it.
I was like, yeah, I'm out. That's just
And
awful.
and it's about other PCs, not just NPCs?
No, I mean, well, it's about the PCs doing it to NPCs. But if they can do that, then the NPCs could do it to the PCs. I could just see so many problems with this happening with awful DMs, or even DMs that aren't fully thinking through everything. Even big name DMs do bad things. So, speaking of...
why do you think it only has $1? Is it because...
Because there's nothing here. There's absolutely nothing here.
As opposed to you can just purchase the stuff? Because that, I think, is a factor. It's like, why pledge to get something potentially at a later date when I can just go buy the thing right now and just wait for shipping?
Yeah. So just right here, when an opponent is subdued, a magical aura leaves the player and surrounds the defeated foe. Mm-hmm. The power transforms the foe into a loyal magical servant. Mm-hmm. The follower is loyal to death. Is immune to fear, mind control, charm, or any other spell. I'm just like, no, let's not control people.
Okay.
I mean, if you're a mind flayer, yeah, that's fine. And you're a barbarian, that's what's gonna happen. Just straight up, that's what
Does that sound like personal experience?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so speaking of...
I understand your hatred now.
Yes.
I completely understand what's happening.
Speaking of...
What?
We're going to skip a little bit here. So
Thank
of
God.
being the bad guys, Kingslayer is, first off, Hexplore your evil side. I don't know what Hexploration is. So I'm just going to start off there. This one actually had a number of backers, and it was pretty... It was
50% successful, I would say.
Almost 50%.
I mean, 1,200 raised out of 2,500 is about 50%.
About, but not exactly. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, and this was, again, it's being the bad guy and whatever Hexploration is. Mm-hmm. And definitely not final artwork.
Nope. Nope. I think when I saw this one, I was very confused as to why this wasn't just up.
They used the same software to create this map.
Well, yeah, okay, let's not. I was like,
Anyway.
Let's hold, please. What I don't understand is, why is this just not on Drive-Thru RPG?
Right.
I'm not getting anything special except an RPG, and I could just give you $5 on Drive-Thru RPG, and we could just be done with it. Yeah. Especially since, again, this kind of looks like it is finished. At least and when you're scrolling through it, it looks like everything is relatively done. He's got the hex maps in there. He's got all of, you're showing me actually pages of text in here.
Right.
So it's not like...
We all know pages of text means that it's done.
Yeah.
Done.
It's not all ipsum malorum in there.
It could be. It's very small. Although, I wonder what is in this hex right here.
Let it go.
I need to explore that.
Oh, God. I'm going to hex kill you.
Then we have this one. This one's doing better. This one's at $4.
I was always at $4 from what I thought.
Well, I mean, it was better than the $1 one. That's... you tell me about this one, because I don't know much about it. This is Theater of the Mind.
Okay, so when I saw Theater of the Mind in my musings through, my scrolling through Kickstarter, I was like, oh, this is interesting. It is a voice-activated RPG that you can play by yourself. So obviously it would be something that I would take my mobile device or my iPad or something, go sit and, go lay in bed, and before I go to sleep, go play some RPG, go like tabletop RPG by myself. So I was like, I'm going to look at this. This sounds interesting. What isn't interesting about it is everything. No, I take that back. I mean, so I looked at it, and the video is not polished, which is fine, because again, it's probably a single player trying to show me how to do this. And so the video is basically about how to walk you through the setup of the RPG, and so it says, you do not have a name. So he's like, my name is Bob, and so it kind of walks you through, like, pick up sword, attack, roll dice. It tells you the instructions basically through that video, and we're essentially a camera over the shoulder of somebody playing it on their iPad or like mobile device. Again, I wasn't crazy about it because you're not showing me anything after that. I'm like, take me to an arena battle. I need
Right.
to see. I need to see just like a couple commands, and then I need to see an arena battle. I need to see what's happening. I need to know what it's going to be like to play this game, and this did not show me any of that.
Okay.
And then I was like, I was upset and disappointed, but I was like, what not to look at? I just put it in our show notes, like, don't look at this one.
Gotcha.
And then I went back and said, okay, so why did I write this? Like 2 days later,
Yeah.
I'm like, why was I so vehemently like opposed to this one? Because I was like, well, maybe I'm just being like, what is it, an ableist, an unableist?
An ableist, yeah.
Okay, is that what the word I'm looking for?
Yes.
Wow, my vocabulary. Just living with you by myself, my vocabulary's gone to nothing. Anyway, so what happens if you are visually impaired? And the only way that you could play D&D is through listening to the books being, you know what I mean, the DMG being read to you out loud, and then playing an arena battle, you know, using a voice activated, like a CNC kind of, you know, game or something like that. So I was like, well, maybe I should look back at it and see if this is something that maybe it just isn't for me, but should be for other people who are visually impaired. Still not feeling it.
No.
Still just looked at it from that perspective, and I was like, I still don't want to play this. And if that's who is the intended audience, it's kind of insulting because it was so slow and so clunky that I was like, just let's keep moving. Again, it's that let's get to the arena battle. Let's set it up. Let's get to the arena battle kind of thing. So.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, already Dungeons and Dragons is something that is accessible. I was actually watching a panel at Big Bad Con a couple of years ago, and there was a blind person on that panel who was a DM and a very prominent person in the podcasting space, because they're able to describe things and use vocabulary and words that I don't have.
That obviously neither of us have today.
But it, so it is, I listen to podcasts, D&D podcasts all the time. So it is a medium that can be audible only. It's also a medium that can be written. On our Discord right now, there's a game being played just by writing.
Yep.
So I believe just the game itself lends it to be accessible. Plus, the company is actively trying to be accessible as well.
Yeah.
So,
and
it's really the whole hobby.
Yeah, so I was really disappointed with Theater of the Mind. I was hoping for great things, especially on my second pass. That I was like,
you're gonna fight in an arena right there.
Exactly. Where's my fight? Where I was really kind of like, do I need to actually contact this person and be like, I really think this is a great idea. Let me help you find people to connect you with to make this a more polished product.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, if it's something that would be enjoyable for lots of people, it's worth it. And unfortunately, I just didn't see this being enjoyable.
I have a better idea. Let's just call them out on the internet, and then they can go and fix it.
Yeah.
Because done and done.
Wow. So, at Thomas A. Koch on
That's
Twitter.
All right. So, that is this week in what the hell is going on in Twitch, Twitter, nope, Kickstarter.
Should we just start from the beginning? Because I feel like you have no idea what happened at all.
I am not starting from the beginning. I'll tell you that right now. You know what we haven't even looked at is Indiegogo, but I just have a feeling.
Listen to me. I'm like, who?
So the other crowdfunding sites I've stopped looking at. I think mostly because those are definitely, they don't have the all or nothing element. So yeah, okay, you just gave this guy $4. And you're not going to get anything. And it's like, well,
thanks
okay.
for the $4. Yeah.
Anyway.
There is some element of excitement for a Kickstarter, and especially to see people do well.
Yeah, it is exciting to see people do well, but it's also interesting to see why things don't go well as well. So we will continue to find gems like these, and hopefully ours next one does not fall into this category.
Oh. But speaking of gems that are close to being closed and funded, I think last week's WIC we talked about Master Monk Gaming.
We did. In fact, why don't we bring that up here? So
cool.
It is funded, but it is not,
closed yet.
It's only gone up, $1,000 or so since we were last here. And this is amazing quality dice trays.
Handcrafted. So it is not machine made. These are not made by, they are not stamped out on a press. They are actually, I want to use the word whittled. I know that's not right.
No,
but
I mean, they're definitely
like in my head, I'm just like whittling the wood.
Yeah, they're not whittled. You know, they make each piece and then they're put together. But you know, like all of their pens and their pencils are actually put on a lathe and, you know, chiseled.
Close to whittling.
That one, the pens are close to whittling.
Okay.
Anyway, so Master Monk, they are friends of the show. We will have more news about that type of stuff coming up. But
let me use the word whittle one more time, please. Whittle adjacent. Okay, go ahead. Finish. All right, I'm done.
I interviewed TeeJay.
I worked.
Yes. So,
but Thomas got to talk to TeeJay.
I got to talk to TeeJay about the Oracle Dice Box and kind of how things are going in the RPG world right now, how their company's doing, what it's like without conventions. You will find out most of their income, their sales, are at conventions, because when you see this stuff in person, I know it's hard to see right now, but when you see this stuff in person, you really gotta have it. And in fact, that's what happened to me at Origins when I saw this walnut piece. They actually make a dice tower that I kind of like.
Okay. Anyway, without further ado, should we roll the interview?
Let's go to the interview.
All
right, welcome everybody. We have TeeJay with us from Master Monk Gaming. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. How about you?
I am getting through this.
Yeah, aren't we all, right?
Yeah. So for those of you out there who don't know who Master Monk Gaming are, could you tell us a bit about what the company is and what you guys do?
Yeah, so we make tabletop accessories for Dungeons and Dragons, board games, whatever, out of wood. It's more for us something about giving something that brought us together as a family, growing up and being a part of that community. So it was just being able to make those things for, dice trays, dice boxes, dice towers. We have a few boards out there for different board games that we make custom. So
gotcha. I totally came unprepared because my dice tray is on the table over there.
Right now we're in a position where no one's really using a whole lot of dice trays, so I get it. Mine's actually stored away too, so I'm waiting for the day I can actually see people again.
It is weird because sometimes we're still streaming, we're remote and everything, but I still like to roll dice.
Yeah, but
not everybody is as trusting, I guess is the word, as everyone else. So sometimes it's, hey, you have to put it in Roll20. Sometimes as a DM, I like the dice, and it's way quicker than typing in a formula.
Yeah, well, it feels better. It feels. I mean, we tried the whole Roll20 thing, Fantasy Grounds, and the group that I play with, it wasn't for us. There's nothing against those. Those are awesome, amazing, companies and programs that they run, and I'm glad that they exist. But it's it takes away, I think, what we started playing for, at least for our group. We wanted, for us it was a Friday night thing. We go and we play, we sit down, we have a beer, we're joking, we're laughing, we get to see and interact with each other, we roll dice, we get to see, we're all about seeing the other person roll. So there's you know what I mean? So that's why, if you've seen our dice trays, they're short wall, right? So everyone can see the dice rolls, which is important to us. And the GM's not I don't think you roll a 20, and so that's what it was about. So we tried that whole thing and we did it for 1 week, and then we're I guess we'll just come back when this is all done.
Yeah, for us, it wasn't an option. We've got studio space rent that is tied to streaming.
Oh,
so
of course, yeah, you have to.
Have to go. We've been fortunate. We've been amazing. Our community has stepped up, and it's been great. But we are really looking forward to coming back to real life.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's talk about, because I have the Nomad dice tray. Let's talk about kind of where that started? Because that was a Kickstarter at one point too, wasn't it?
Yes, that was actually the first Kickstarter for Mastermind Gaming, was the dice tray. That kind of came about mostly by, I don't want to say by accident, but it was something that I made for the group of friends that I played with. And it was kind of the same concept, right? We wanted something that was portable, but lower tray walls, that could kind of fit everything that you needed into a game into one small, package. And so I made a few of those for me and my buddies, and we all loved them. And so then we said, okay, hey, let's, me and my father, we had already done different game boards and stuff kind of on the side, and we said, hey, let's take this to Kickstarter and start a business for, the D&D scene, and see where it goes. And so that's kind of what we started there. And yeah, I mean, it's been awesome. Everyone loves them. It's one of those things for sure too. You kind of have to see how it works before you really understand. Right. Like the first time you see it, everyone's like, it's just a stupid box, and I got a million of those. Right. Then when they see how it works, they're like, whoa, okay, here's my money, and for us, conventions were huge, right? So not having conventions right now is a big deal because that was our major form of marketing, Right. And so we're having to transition everything to online and, getting better videos up there for us, but we're a very small company. Right now we're only 4 people, but we were 8 people before, it wasn't really a massive company, or anything like that. So resources are always limited. You don't have your marketing guy and your guy that's making dice trays. And it's like everyone kind of has all of these roles that they play, and has to fulfill. And right. Even if they don't know what they're doing, it's like, well, let's just fumble our way through it and do the best that we can. So
that sounds exactly our business strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's, any business owner I've talked to, it's like, what's the secret? But like, I don't know. I just have no one knows what they're doing. At the end of the day, you have your ideas for what you think is going to work and you run with it, and some things work and some things don't, and you adapt. You adapt to the things that work and the things that don't work.
Gotcha. So then after that dice tray, then it was the dice tower.
Yes, correct. It was a dice tower, magnetic dice tower, and that one was a little different than what's out there. A lot of people are very familiar with Wormwood's dice tower. Ours is smaller to fit that compact nature of what we wanted to do. So it also fits inside the tray with the dice box, but it also like hooks onto the dice tray as well. So it gives you like a very small profile on a table, which is always a huge issue in California where space is extremely expensive. So like we don't get to have, 10 by 8 gaming tables. Like that's our whole house, so you've got to fit things into very small spaces. So having dice trays where things, like literally the tower can hang off the table, you know what I mean? Because it can hook on the tray. And then the whole thing, the tower, I can actually grab one real quick if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, grab one.
You get the tray. Then I got the box that everyone sees, and they're like, wow, that's so unimpressive. And then, and then obviously it turns into the tray that you have.
Yeah.
And then the tower, right? So everything's magneted to itself. So, that way you can just take if all you want is a tower, you can just take the tower and chuck it in a bag, and it works with any dice tray out there, which is one of the things, we don't want everyone to like be forced to buy our products. Right. But if they see this tower and they're like, I really like that tower, but I've got a dice tray from so-and-so, we can say this still works, right? You don't need to buy our tray if you don't like our tray. Buy someone else's tray, Right. But if you like our tower, it'll work with anyone's.
And I love the size of it. I mean,
it's
because I've seen some that are, a
little big, a little bulky. They take up a lot of space on the table, and where space is a luxury. That's a big deal. So
yeah.
And then obviously, it just magnets together. Everything's got labels on it. I don't know if you can see that. So A, B, C, D, and yeah. So let's see here. I'll put this together real quick. I'm terrible at doing things in front of a camera, so I'm actually trying to get better at that right now. I started doing a lot of video stuff, so we'll see how.
Right.
And there you go. So
nice. And it still hits 3 places.
Yeah, it's still got, and then we wanted to have 3 ramps on it. That's to make sure that your rolls are actually randomized. We did test with like 2 ramps, and you could actually fudge rolls. I mean, it's a pretty small statistic. You know, you're talking a difference of like a few percentage. You know, but, this was definitely way more randomized. Over like I think it was like 1,500 rolls that Wolf and I did one night just to test it out. And it was a long night. So, and like that's a perfect example of like something we should have totally videotaped.
Yeah.
And shown the results of and never did. And we're like, well, shoulda, woulda, coulda. So those are the things we're gonna get better at, you know. So we got to go back and do those tests again and show people.
But then you also have to like test your dice beforehand as well, right?
You gotta test the dice beforehand, correct? So you start with just rolling a die in a dice tray, you know, and then you go to the 2 ramps and you say, okay, the 1,500 in each scenario, right? So we're talking, I think we did like 6,000 rolls that night. I don't know, it was a lot. It was a lot of rolls, and it was fun though, you know, drinking. Always have a good time doing whatever we do. So. R&D is kind of
a tough job.
Yeah, R&D is so hard. It's, you know, we always joke because it's always whatever we both like doing it, and so we both claim that it's our job, you know, to do the R&D because we get to like take things and throw them at walls to see how hard it takes to break one, you know. And surprisingly, these things are really durable. He dropped his off a cliff once while hiking by. He was trying to take photos of the dice tray set up, you know, on like a rock, you know, and he bumped it and it just tumbled down this mountain. And he went down there, and of course it's, you know, the wood's all dented and stuff like that, but the tray was perfectly fine. Like he could magnet it together and still use it. And we fix it up and he uses it to this day.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, I know that you mentioned conventions. That's actually where I got this one. Was at a convention. And you guys looking at your booth, it's like packed, and there were always people around, like just
it's
Googling this stuff.
It's conventions is such a rush, you know. I mean, it's especially for us. I know. Before we started doing conventions, everyone was like, "Well, you don't really go to conventions to make money. You just kind of go there to, you know, show face and help get your name out there."
Right.
It was not the same for us. I mean, conventions have been so profitable because everyone sees our stuff and then they go tell their buddy. And then next thing you know, like, you know, we'll have like we never have like a massive booth, you know, but our little tiny booth has so many people around it that, we can't even, like, if there's 4 or 5 of us, it's not enough, you know? And so this year we had 8 conventions lined up because, you know, that was our marketing. That was how a lot of our business was designed around conventions. And so, you know, we invested a lot into conventions this year. And of course now those aren't happening. So it's I'm having to relearn how to do a lot more online marketing and focus the business back on that. And it's just, I absolutely hate marketing. Like, marketing is, if I could think of the worst job in the world, that's probably that. And so I'm looking at hiring a marketing company right now. There's a few I'm looking at, but you know, other than that, like, it's going great. So I just miss people, as I think do some of us. You know, my wife's more introverted than I am. She likes to just read, and she's like, "Oh, people are okay," you know. But I like books, so it works for some people. But I'm not that person. So
I am blessed that Amy is. She would have been here, but she's, you know, working more hours than she should, but she, you know, has the job. So
that's
because she's, you know, we're doing the podcast, we're doing, you know, gaming and stuff. So, you know, at least we spend a lot of time together, and it's always working, you know. But
no, I hear you. No, she actually just started a new job where she can work from home before all this happened, like magically somehow. So kind of worked out for her.
Very lucky. That is awesome. So let's talk about the Oracle dice box.
Yeah.
So
you
have 2 dice boxes.
We have we have 3 different inside cuts for the current one, and then the Oracle has 2 different versions as well. Let me go grab those real quick. So these are the Oracle dice boxes. The idea is that you can actually see your dice inside of your dice box. So there's a lot of people that collect dice. I'm one of them. I probably shouldn't, but I do.
I know. I one day found out that I had a very rare Chessex set of dice.
Was it the Aquarple?
No, it was the Orange Borealis.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I had a buddy that found a set of the Aquarple ones.
Yeah.
He was looking for some dice, and he just pulls them out of a giant bin of dice, and he puts them on the table, and he starts rolling them, right, for like a session. I'm like, do you know what you have right there? And he was like, I don't know, just a crappy set of dice. And I told him how much they were worth, and he was like, oh. And so now he puts them in he like put them in like a mason jar, and he sets them on like a mantle just to taunt all of us, because he won't part with them. He doesn't collect dice, but he just happened to have them, and I want them, but yeah. But these are perfect, right? So like he's getting one of these for exactly that set of dice now, right? Now he can just play it, and then if he ever actually wants to take them somewhere, he can just grab that and go, right? And he knows those are the dice that are in that dice box,
Right.
So for dice collectors, these are really perfect. They still have foam inside that protects the dice, which is really important for us. Just kind of take some of these out so you can see the pockets. And they fit in there snugly. That's one of the things we're working on is that. And then of course, magnets keep everything safe, and little features here and there. If you go to the Kickstarter page, it kind of shows everything in detail. But yeah, I mean, they were actually a lot of fun to make. We did a soft release of those at PAX. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get this wrong. One of the PAXs. And we sold out of them the first day. We brought, I think, 75, and they were gone like that. And we didn't even have like a decent. We had like just 2 slats of foam in there because we weren't really sure which direction we wanted to go with the foam yet. And it didn't really work very well. When we told people like, hey, message us once the Kickstarter is done, and we'll send you the foam that we land on, right? That way you're not just getting this crappy piece of foam that was kind of like a half thought, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so, a lot of those people have come back and said, hey, this is awesome, just sending this message. And we'll give them that foam, of course. But yeah, so they've been a big hit. Yeah, it's fun. I love making this stuff. I'm excited because I've got so many of these stupid things now, and my dice are actually starting to go in them already. So
nice. Can we talk a little bit? Let's talk a little bit about the woodworking aspect of it. Yeah. Like you do woodworking. You also, your dad does woodworking as well. Like what does it look like? Like what do you do where and all that other stuff?
Right. So most of the manufacturing actually happens in Kentucky, where my father is. So he's our head of production. I mostly do prototyping and the inlay. So anything that's like got like wooden inlays on it, I do on my end. For a long time, I was doing the dice trays, but we actually have a guy that we contract that out to now that's on my father's end as well. So he's making the trays now. He got spun up and taught probably like 2 months ago, like not even that long ago. Like he took that over. He's been absolutely amazing, Ed. But yeah, I mean, and then I mostly just focus on, all the little things that need to happen to make a business continue,
right.
Marketing, outreach, interviews, conventions, if they ever happen again. So, and then we've got Wolf, he's in LA, and he mostly focuses on, he does all of our pen work. So any pen that gets made, he's the one that made it.
Okay.
And then he's also really the one that ensures that the conventions happen. So he's kind of been in a place where there's really nothing for him to do for his main job, which is running the convention, like making sure we have everything when we go to conventions, and
right.
Meetings. He sets up all the meetings that we're going to have and stuff like that. So he's mostly just doing pens now.
Which there's one there.
You've got one of the one of the ones without the clip on it. We started adding clips now, so
nice. Yeah, it's a pencil. I like it. I like how it just fits in there too.
Yeah, it goes on the lid and can't complain. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I love woodworking. That's actually why we started doing this. Is I thought, I was like, yeah, I get to do woodworking for a living. I don't do that much woodworking anymore.
Yeah.
I think one day the dream is I can have someone else run the business for me when I'm like old, don't want to anymore, and then I'll just go back to making stuff and sending it to people. So
nice. Yeah, I took a Patreon survey today, And it was, for creators who have stuff. And one of the questions was, on a scale from 1 to 6, where 1 is fully creative and 6 is just the business side. It's like, where do you like to be? Like, that is just no, I'm like, I'd like to be just over here in 1.
Yeah, right. I'd love this, but I'm like this.
Yeah. But instead, my day is 1, 6, 1, 6.
Yeah.
4. It's like,
I completely understand. And it keeps it exciting though, right? I mean, it's never the same thing every day, and I guess it's a learning. I'm always learning, so
yeah,
can't complain about that. And then one thing that I also get to do too is anytime we have like a special project, I get to work on those for the most part. Wolf will sometimes come up and help me. Obviously, right now that's kind of not really a thing. His wife actually works at hospitals, so he can't really go anywhere, and so
right.
For any reason. So so like special projects, like I love working with charities. And this is another thing I'm terrible at, is marketing what we do to help people out. Trying to get better at that, but Jasper's Game Day is actually one of them. And I know you've heard of them. And we're actually doing a bunch of dice boxes.
Can we back up and tell us about Jasper's Game Day?
Okay, so Jasper's Game Day, for those of you that don't know, so it's run by a girl named Fenway, and I think she just turned 17, if I'm not mistaken, but she's been doing this for a couple years now. And it started, she had her best friend growing up, his name was Jasper, and they committed suicide. And I think we've all had someone in our life for various reasons who may have committed suicide, whether it's depression. Usually that's obviously, an underlying cause of it, but, a broken family, who knows, there's so many issues. I come from the military, so for me, I've had 2 friends personally commit suicide. And that was always, one of those things that was really hard, and so this particularly focuses on teen suicides. But they raise money for awareness for that. And then they take that with gaming, so tabletop gaming, and they say, okay, how can we reach out to these people that, just sometimes just need someone to let them know that they're there for them, and give them a safe place to be. And that's what Jasper's Game Day is. And it's absolutely amazing. There's a lot of celebrities that actually get involved. One of the big ones in our community is Satine Phoenix. She actually helps out with Fenway every year. And they're going to be doing a bunch of now online games this year. And so we're still trying to, I think for everyone, it was a little bit of like, okay, how do we make this work? Especially from our end. And we hadn't, everyone was kind of in a scramble with the self-quarantining and figuring out how to run their business that way. And then so Wolf actually reached out to her and said, hey, is this still happening? Because it wasn't happening in April anymore. And this was like a week ago. She was like, yeah, it's still happening. It's happening in May now. And so I was like, wow, that's not a lot of time. And so we're going to try to help them out the best that we can there. But yeah, so that's kind of what Jasper's Game Day is. It's really awesome. So
okay, that's awesome that you're involved in that. Let's see. So last week we talked about the Oracle Dice Box on our Kickstarter portion of this podcast, which is becoming expensive. Because as Amy would say, it is if she finds something on Kickstarter that's interesting enough to talk about, she wants to back it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, okay, I guess that makes sense.
I'm the same way. Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah,
especially when there's dice involved. I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah. How have you found some of the Kickstarters? Obviously Kickstarter is a potential risk, because things might not fulfill or just.
Yeah, I'm a research person. I dig and I dig and I dig. I have never backed a Kickstarter that's failed. And I've backed, I don't know, dozens and dozens of Kickstarters. So I know, I guess, the signs, and if it's something, it's not to say that I'm not immune to that, right? But I always make sure I don't just read their risks and assessments and say, sounds good to me, and then back them. Right. You know what I mean? I look at the whole picture and I say, okay, do these guys really have their stuff together? Do they have previous successful Kickstarters? That's always a big one, right? If they have previous successful Kickstarters, that's always at least a good sign. Even then, something can happen, but and that's usually the biggest thing. If they got some previous ones that went, there's always going to be hiccups, but as long as they went decently and they, they're learning from their mistakes, they're making things happen, you can say, okay, this is something I can back, So yeah, and then that's, I don't know. What about you? Like, what's your, have you had any bad experiences with?
I mean, yeah, yes.
Did you do goat dice? Because I did not.
No, I did not.
Okay. I was thinking about it and I did my research. I was like, this guy seems a little sketchy, and sure enough, it was a little sketchy.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been good, I think. Now we're trying to back smaller stuff. Like $10 pin.
Yeah,
it's like, it supports somebody, but at the same time, I'm not gonna go broke doing it.
Right. Well, and like the way I look at it too is like when I see the larger campaigns, I usually say, okay, I can get this afterwards. Even if they have like the exclusive stuff, like, oh, this is only on Kickstarter. Those are the things I'm like, I'm not really that interested. I'd rather back the smaller product. Like if, I'm not a rich guy. I can't back everything. So if I'm going to back something, you're right. Like I always try to find those smaller projects and say, okay, these guys, this might only ever be on Kickstarter. Some people that they kickstart and that's it.
Right.
I know there's like a deck of cards that I can't think of the guy's name right now, but it's like little one-shot encounters cards, right?
Yeah.
And that's all he does. So he comes out with one like every couple months or whatever, different deck of cards, and only ever gets 15, maybe 30,000, nothing crazy. Sometimes less, but they're always great, and it's a small, just a guy just trying to make a little extra money on the side. He's always reliable. They come within a window of when he said they would, and I never actually check it, but they seem to come when I would expect them, so I'm like, oh cool, these are here, I guess I'll use them. But yeah, no, I'm the exact same way. Those smaller projects are where it's at. So
yeah, nice. So I mean, I think talking about so the woodworking, the dice trays and stuff, feel free to touch on this or don't if you don't want it to. You're running a Kickstarter now, which is, a smaller Kickstarter.
Yes.
There's a 800-pound gorilla that also does stuff. What is it? How is it? Well, how as a business are you competing or cooperating or, like co-opetition type stuff? How do you guys live in the marketplace?
So I'd say pretty amicably for the most part. I got to meet Doug at, I think it was PAX Unplugged. I'm terrible with the names of conventions. I just go where Wolf tells me to go. But no, I got to meet them there. That was interesting. The really nice group of guys that work there I think for the most part, everything went as well as could be. He liked our stuff. We told him, we like your stuff. It seemed to be as peaceful as possible. He actually really liked the Oracle dice boxes as well. He was like, man, I wish I thought of this kind of thing, I think, they're the 800-pound gorilla because they kind of got there first, right? They were the first ones to really start. They were the first company to take things off of Etsy, right? Because like before that, everything kind of already existed. Yes, we could get magnetic dice towers and dice boxes, but it was only on Etsy from like very small people. They might have like 3 or 4, and then you'd have to wait like 50,000 years until they made another one, kind of thing. Or it's like for us, I was in Hawaii when I got my first set of stuff. I had a dice tower that I got that was magnetic, and it was actually made by a military guy out there for deployment, right? So it was like perfect. It wasn't exactly what you see now, right? But like it was like super duper strong magnets, like probably too strong, just so that you could throw it in a sea bag, right? And then go overseas and not have to worry about pieces going everywhere. And then it had like it just went into a dice tray, right? There wasn't like lid or like ours where it comes apart or anything like that. And that's kind of actually where I took some of the inspiration for that too. And of course, like seeing their products, we take some inspiration from them. We take inspiration from wherever we can get it and say, okay, what's the best of everything and how do we how do we put, you know, the features that we like, that we think some people would like together. But yeah, so I mean, they're, you know, it's as amicably as can be.
Nice. So what else do you want to kind of talk about? You know, is there anything that we didn't touch on about, you know, really what can people go and buy this stuff? That's a question.
Yes, they can actually. They can go on our website. They can buy everything except for the oracles right now. Can be purchased from the website. You can also get everything on the Kickstarter as well. So like for a lot of people are like, well, I don't need it right now, so I'll just get it on the Kickstarter, and then hopefully by the time this whole quarantine thing's done and my new dice tray, dice boxes, and all that comes in, I can actually use them. And so we're getting a few people that are like kind of in that boat, you know. But yeah, I mean, I'd say that's, you know, that's the website, you know, is our biggest thing right now. You can't go to a convention and buy these like you used to be able to. Man, it's crazy. You know, it's really crazy.
Yeah. How is inventory and that type of stuff?
Inventory is great. Inventory is something that we struggled with in the past. Because we were selling things so fast that we couldn't keep up with it. And then we were finally getting caught up to where we were going to go to GaryCon this past year. And of course, GaryCon got canceled. But like that was the first convention that we were going to go to where we actually had the amount of products to bring that we wanted to bring. And so when that didn't happen, all of that just went back into online inventory. So it kind of solved our own problem of not having inventory, because we were like, well, let's see if this all sells out at Gary, because GaryCon's a smaller convention, right? So we weren't expecting to do what we would do at, say, like Origins or PAX, you know, something like that. But there would have still been a lot of sales that came from that. So like not having the inventory goes into online. So inventory's been great right now because we're not having to shuffle conventions and online. So
gotcha. And what is like, I guess, what wood is the biggest seller?
Walnut, 100%.
Walnut? Okay.
Hands down. Like that's probably 50%.
That one?
That's that one. Yep. It's for, I think it's the right, it's one, the wood is not that expensive, right, for us to buy. So we can get walnut. I mean, you got ash, red oak, they're around the same price point, you know, give or take. And then it's pretty much cherry and walnut are the next cheapest ones that we work with. And walnut's a dark color, so it works with a lot of, you know, anything dark can work with pretty much any color. And so I think that's why people say, well, I don't know what I want. They gravitate towards walnut, you know. It's easy to work with for us. So it's probably the easiest wood that we work with too. So that helps bring, you know, costs down, because we everything's priced by difficulty to work it and then the wood cost, right? So walnut all around is just, it's a good price point. It's good looking wood. You know, there's really nothing to complain about with it.
It was absolutely my favorite. Like going through, like as soon as I saw this one, I'm like, okay, that's exactly what I want.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. I mean, the only other one that people like maybe want more is usually like Wenge or Ebony, but they're like, I don't want to pay that much for it. I was like, yeah, I don't blame you. So I don't even have an Ebony tray that I roll in. Mine is Wenge, but it's a messed up Wenge, and I was like, well, this one has character, and so I play with the character.
So I guess you are a woodworking person, so we can talk about how to actually pronounce Paddock or
okay. So
or
I say paddock, right?
Okay, right.
The problem is, I hear most people say paddock, right? Some say paddock, some say pad oak, like oak tree, right?
Right.
If you look at it, all comes down to the origin. For that particular word, I actually don't know. Wenge is another interesting one, right? So some people call it wenge and some people call it wenge. And if you call certain lumber yards and you say the wrong word, they legitimately will get angry at you. And it's different, right? So I know when we were first, finding suppliers for everything, we would call like, hey, do you have any wenge? Like, no, what's it look like? You know, we'd explain it to them, like, oh, you mean wenge? And we're like, yeah. They're like, no, that's not how you say it. It's wenge. You know, it's like, calm down. You know, like, and so, and then, you know, you look up the origins of certain words, and it really just depends. Is really what it comes down to. For wenge, the local tongue says wenge, but then the translation would technically correctly be wenge, right? So it's like, you know, you can argue both ways, I guess, in a lot of these cases. So as long as you stick to one of those, you know, kind of acceptable terms, I think you're okay.
Gotcha. Nice. All right. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
Oh man, yeah. There's a few things actually. So, an interesting one that a lot of people run into is with Paddock. It'll get white, like a white powdery looking substance on it. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's a fungus that grows. The tree requires that fungus to actually grow, and then when you cut it down, it still kind of lives in the wood. It's not harmful or anything like that, but like after you finish it, after you do everything to it, we put like a wax finish on it and everything, it'll still come through the surface a little bit, right? And people will call us all the time, be like, it's turning white, and we're like, yeah, just wipe it off. Like, there's nothing you can really do about it, you know. I'd say not 90, like maybe like 70% of the paddock that people get, they'll get a little spot here and there that happens to. And it's a problem with, like, you know, fine woodworkers around the world. You go to like woodworking forums, they're all like, oh, I'm freaking out. I just made this like really nice chess set that this guy bought for like $5,000 and his paddock pieces are turning white. What do I do? You know, and it's like, calm down. That's all you got to do. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So that's always an interesting one for us. And that's the only one that we work with that happens to. But there is a few other ones that it works with. I'd say the last thing though that I would like to talk about is kind of switching back to Jasper's Game Day, just because I love to plug those guys. And we are doing, so we're going to do, I'm trying to think. They have some reward levels on their website right now. And on those reward levels, there's going to be a few of our dice boxes. And then there's also going to be some that are going to be auctioned live during the shows. So one of the versions, and I'm actually still finishing these, but one of them, is that reverse for you?
No, that's right. That looks
right.
perfect.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's just that's going to be our engraved box, and it's, you know, it says Jasper's Game Day, and it says every roll matters.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And then this is going to be one of the ones that gets auctioned off.
Oh, nice.
So we're doing I think I got 7 of these right now. So as long as I don't scrap any, there will be 7 of these going to them. And I think that's all I can say. Like, some of it's a little bit secretive, mostly for, yeah. So I can't really talk about everything that's happening, but yeah, we're giving that to them. So if you guys, if anyone wants to support a really, really amazing cause, be sure you check out Jasper's Game Day. It's just jaspersgameday.com. There's going to be, like I said, there's a whole bunch of celebrities that are going to be streaming live. Satine Phoenix is one of them. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head, because I am terrible with names. But there's a few other ones on there. Fenway herself is going to be GMing some games. I know that they were auctioning off those seats, and I think they're already completely sold out, but you can watch those live. So, and then there also will be auctions going on during those live shows, at least for one of our products. I don't know about anything else that they might have going on, but that's one thing that they're going to be doing. So,
gotcha. That's cool. That is awesome. Now, is that inlay? That
is inlay, yeah. So this one was right here was inlay, and that's haddock with walnut, and that's going to be on the May 3rd to the 7th. If anyone wants to check that out, it's a whole week, really. So,
gotcha. Cool.
We'll also be on periodically to talk to people. So,
very cool. All right. So everybody, thank you, TeeJay. It's been awesome. The Kickstarter is still live, so go down. There's a link down below. You can click it. Get your Oracle dice boxes. Put them in your Nomad dice trays. And hopefully you are in person soon and you can actually roll.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll actually get to meet and I can shake your hand again and say hi and we can play a game or something, right?
Nice. Awesome. So thanks.
Right. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
And welcome back. That was a terrible interview. How dare you?
I think you need to stop. Well, no. I won't say you need to stop working. Let's back that up. You need to be no.
Okay.
I will schedule interviews while you are
I
around.
like how you
How's
actually
that?
took me seriously there for a minute. I was like, that was terrible. You're like, yeah, I know.
Well, you weren't there.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
We
You want to talk about the poll in the back?
No.
We'll just let that go.
Let's just let that go.
Totally fine. All right. So, Mastermind Gaming.
Yeah. There it is.
As of the time we record this, you have 13 days to buy their stuff.
Yes. And you should back this stuff. This is interesting, high quality stuff. I know that some of the Wave 1 and Wave 2 stuff is already sold out. So Wave 3, or you can get the whole ball of wax. 4 Oracle dice boxes plus an Oracle temple. I believe the temple is what you use to display all of your dice boxes. Look, there are people out there who collect dice, and there are people that really should have a dice box to display those dice. I sold my expensive dice as soon as I found out how much they were worth. I'm like, they're worth how much? eBay.
No, but I could see that. I mean, now that you've sort of cat out of the bag and you sold your expensive dice, I was going to get you one of those, but now I'm not, so whatever.
But I still have dice that I like. Dice that I think, the green maple, which is the Borealis. Don't anybody tell you. It's old OG Borealis in new dice.
Oh God.
Go buy.
Here we
Don't
go.
go buy them now because I'm gonna corner the market in them. I've already started. I have like 20 D20s.
Okay, whatever. So I was gonna buy you a little like dice display thing for all of your Aurora Borealises.
Well, I think that's.
Or did you do that without telling me?
Oh, I did not. No,
Okay, good.
no.
Okay, good.
Oh no, I did talk to TeeJay though about doing some stuff for us, and he is going to be doing some
Well,
stuff
that's
for
cool.
us.
Anyway.
Yes.
So, before we spend more money on things that neither of us need but want desperately.
Yes. Master Monk Gaming. Okay, so that was a while ago that I spent the money on that. That was worth it.
I'm trying to wrap this up and walk away with this because not only that, I thought
How is Aaron going to keep his butter knife up if you take that?
that sounds like a personal problem that he's got to solve. Honestly, that sounds like him and the trajectory of his butter knife is not my problem.
All right, on that bombshell, we're going to wrap it up, and we're going to come back next week with our interview with
Renaud.
Barton.
Oh, stop saying his name like that. It's so bad. It just hurts me inside. Whatever.
All right, so thank you for watching, and we will see you next time for episode 6.